Beautiful people, welcome back to another episode of Conversations Unleashed. Listen, we are here. We are live in effect. It is Friday for you. It is Thursday for me, but I'm releasing this on a Friday because it's good, all right? So you know me. If you're enjoying this podcast, if you're loving it, go ahead and share it. Give it a like up. Go ahead and if you're on YouTube, send it to your people. But let's get into this because I'm not even going to waste your time. Let's dive right into this episode because the craziest thing happened with me with one of my students. Let's go. So y'all, what happened is story time. And you know we like story time around here. My students were coming in after a break, and I'll never forget it. And one of the things about being inside of a middle school is that kids, they need breaks. Let me tell you this right now, okay? They need moments to breathe, to decompress. But if something goes on during the break, more than likely it bleeds inside of your classroom. So what happened is I have my timer set up on my board because at RCA, the Ron Clark Academy, baby, we move. We move quickly, expeditiously. We got things to do. We got content to get inside of. And I remember on that day, I had 4 kids come in late. I'm like, oh, all right. So yeah, hey, you know what? Y'all know y'all consequence. Go ahead and go and put it on the board. I got to get into this lesson. Let's get through this already piece and let's make it happen. Now, the kid was already visibly frustrated, so I knew in my mind something must have went out at break, but I don't have time. I already have 26 other kids, 25 other kids. I got to get into my lesson. So we go on throughout that day. We're getting and trying to tune them up for the end of the year assessment, right? And what you don't know is the difficult thing about being a teacher is you want to teach and instill knowledge, but also they have an assessment they have to take at the end of the year. So you're conflicted. Do I lean more towards the assessment and suck out the fun out of learning? Do I do a hybrid of both? Do I only focus on just teaching the content? It's tough. The funny thing is, during that lesson, kids were being agitated by some of the multiple choice questions, which is natural. And what happened is they started to get on my nerves a little bit. So I found myself more snappier. Like, hey, pay attention. Let's focus, right? Hey, leave your friend alone. Track me. Let's roll. We got things you have to do. You have a deadline you have to meet. And what happened is someone was playing a little too much, and I got on the kid. I said, hey, you know what? I've had enough. You see me after class. And it's like that teacher look. If you're in education, and if you're not in education, you should ask your teacher friends about the teacher look. It's like a stare. It's like you just take all the emotion out of your face. So I gave that kid that stare, and I said, hey, meet me after class. All right? So the kids are cleaning up, going through their routine. As they're leaving my class, right, the kid and I begin to have a conversation. And y'all, this student said something to me I've never even heard before. They're sitting down and they're going about, hey, this is what happened. Mr. Bonner, you falsely accused me. This is really what went down. Such and such made the noise. And I'm like, oh God, okay, here we go. I'm trying to piece to my mind, run back through the pieces like, okay, what went wrong, etc. And all of a sudden, this kid looks at me in my eyes and say, you know what? I don't mean no disrespect, but I'm sorry, but I just hate your class. In my mind, I said, what? You do what? But I said, excuse me? It was like, no disrespect, but I hate your class. Y'all, let me tell you something, all right? Internally, my entire heart dropped, and I felt like I was falling off of a cliff, right? I've been told, kids may not like my class, and it is, I teach reading, and unfortunately, even though I enjoy reading sometimes, they're having to learn reading in the information age where you can just chat GPT something and look it up quickly. But hate my class? Man. So the thing is, when they said that statement, it shifted me. Because what do you do when someone doesn't like you or something about your environment? What do you do? How do you position yourself to not only just take the criticism, but change? Now, it sounds easier said than done, but I ain't gonna front. For the first 2 minutes after the student said that, my mind wasn't even with them anymore. I wasn't even having a civilized conversation, y'all. My mind was everywhere else. But by the duration of that conversation, about 30 minutes later, we actually came to a phenomenal understanding. And I want to give you 3 things to do when someone says something you don't want to hear. And I'm slowing down on the pace of my story with this because These past month or so, I've had some great moments and horrific moments, and it just has me reflecting on how sometimes we can act in ways when we're going through situations or struggling with things and ideas. And what do you do when someone says they don't like something about you? What do you do when someone doesn't like the way you've done something or how you're running things? And all of us are leaders. This is Conversations Unleashed Rising Together. So I'm going to give you 3 solutions and takeaways, and we're going to finish this podcast out today to make sure that you can get to work and get to this gym and whatever you're doing in a powerful way. All right, let's go. So when the kid told me that they hate my class, I've never had a kid tell me that in my 12 years of teaching. So that blew my mind, right? And one of the things, the first thing I need you to do is in life, I'm learning, and they said this in Miguel Ruiz, I believe, the 4 agreements. The first thing you have to learn is not to take it personal. When someone is criticizing something about you, don't take it personal, right? So when I sat down with the kid and we kept going through conversation, come to find out, as I was unpicking things apart, is that it wasn't even really about me. When we're going through the context of the conversation, what the student was saying wasn't about me. And what happens is oftentimes us as human beings, we are listening to respond instead of just listening to understand, listening to calmly think through what is this person really trying to say. Because what I would like for you to do is when you have a discussion with someone, when you're talking to them, ask them, repeat to me what I just said to you. And sometimes you're saying something and the person is hearing something completely different. So when the kid was saying, hey, I hate your class, how do you think I was reading it? Oh, you hate me? Oh, you don't like me, right? And that wasn't the case. And the issue with taking things personal is that you can rob yourself of mending something. You can rob yourself of improving in an area. And when you are a leader, you're gifted with running something, you can sabotage the entire thing. All right. Let's say if I would have taken that situation personally, I could have went off on the kid. Wrong thing to do. I could have held an alt against them for the rest of the school year. Wrong thing to do as an educator. There's so many ways that could have went wrong if I would have kept taking it personal. So what I want you to do is, first thing in life, just in general, try your best not to take it personal. And it's easier said than done. We know this, but take a moment to breathe. That's what I did. I remember the kid saying, hey, I hate your class. And I remember going off my mind, heart dropping, etc. But a part of me was like, just stay calm, breathe, listen. Stay calm, breathe, listen. All right. Number 2, never assume. Never assume. So when the student said that I hate your class, I started assuming all kinds of things. Oh, it must be because I run my class this way. Or it must be because and my brain was actually creating reasons. Check this out, y'all. That wasn't even real. Right? So if we're not careful, sometimes in life, we will draft stories in our minds that our own perception, which is distorted by our experiences, creates. So what can happen is something can happen to you in your life where someone can say something to you and you perceive it as something completely different than what it is, right? What they call it, Delulu land. That's what my kids call it. When someone is living in delusional land, they Delulu, right? Because they are making up scenarios in their mind that's not even real based on their own assumptions. So how do you clear the assumptions? How do you clear the fog of confusion, communication? You have to seek out the why behind things, right? We all make choices based on some form of reasoning, whether it's good or bad. And that's why I was telling people, that's why I love therapy, right? That's why I love therapy. This season of grief has been interesting for me because if I'm transparent with y'all, I thought that I could just throw the Michael Bonner super coat back on and get out here and be an incredible teacher and etc. son and speaker. But y'all, since that moment of the death of my grandfather, some days like I'm good. And then some days I'm like, I just want to just chill in my apartment and I just want to be quiet. I don't really want to be bothered by nobody. Or I may have a moment of sadness or a random tear may drop. And I'm learning that's natural in the process. But during that time of grief and understanding it, I've made some good decisions and bad decisions, right? I've talked to people in correct ways. I've have talked to people in probably some disrespectful ways. I've treated some people with respect. I probably did well, no, I have disrespected some people, and I'm not proud of that, right? But when we're talking about clearing the situation and understanding the why, the reason why I like my therapist is because we were talking about a recent situation I've had where I disrespected someone, and it wasn't intentional. It was just ignorance and just not having the courage enough, right, to do something I was supposed to do. And we talked about that, but my therapist started to drill down on the why. Like, Bonner, why did you do that? Well, what was your thinking before you even got to that point of making that decision? And too often in life, we are assuming things about ourselves, assuming things about people, and we haven't even asked the why. We're just focused at the what. We're looking at the symptom. I'm looking at the kids saying, I hate your class. But wisdom would say, dive deeper and understand the why. What events led to that? Kind of find out at break, some things transpired. They already had the kid ticked off. The kid comes to my classroom. They had to put their name on the board as a consequence. And that infuriates them even more because they were late because of what happened at break. And then I call on them and get on them in class. Oh, that's three things. So there's three things that have built up that has them frustrated, right? And that gave me way more clarity. And what happens is when I begin to find out those things, it took the pressure off of me. That the kid didn't really hate me. They were hating some of the issues that were going on in the classroom and everything that led up to it. Which leads me to my last thing. We talked about don't take it personal, never assume, but the last one, change. If you don't learn how to be flexible in life and maneuver and shift and change, life is going to crush you. Whether that is emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, you have to change, right? Like for me personally right now, let's take a practical example before the kid in the classroom. For me, I am no longer a Division I athlete. Those days are over. And you know what's been happening, y'all? I've been eating like a Division I athlete, like I'm still running 2.5 miles a day and whatever. And my body is showing symptoms, Bonner. No, you can't do that. Whether things randomly hurting or, I puff up a little bit. So you have to change. The issue is a lot of people talk about change but don't want to change. The issue is people want to know the steps to be successful but don't want to actually follow the steps to be successful. And what's happening is you want to put yourself in analysis paralysis where you know all the answers to change and you never do. I don't want you to fall into that. I fell into that. I'm fighting against that now. You have to change. Now, I can't change everything in my classroom. I can't change everything in my life. But what I do know is this. There are some things we can shift and morph. When the kid was saying that, hey, I do not like your classroom, I hate your classroom, through conversation, not assuming and not taking it personal, I come to find out the kid just hated reading long texts, long passages. But at the Ron Clark Academy and in life, we prep them for the research articles they will face all the way in college. We teach them annotating and understanding informational text and text features and headings and abstract. Like, we get into that. And the kid did not like that because they weren't having as much success with that. And when I found that out, I was like, well, I can change some stuff. So I knew me as an educator, what I can do is make the background knowledge and building it up, add more schema and things inside of it, building their schema, make it more exciting, but it is something I can change. One of the things that is so hard for people to do is shift. And one of the things we do not like as human beings, and when someone says they don't like something about us, newsflash, y'all, there will always be someone that doesn't like something about you. And I want to free you today from the mindset of you thinking that you always have to change for someone else. I think you should change for the people that you're serving to make sure that the thing you're called to do, you're making sure they're better. But when someone says they don't like you or they don't like something that you're doing and it bothers you, you have options. You can take it personal. You can assume. You can be stubborn and act like it doesn't exist at all. But that's going to stop you because if you don't grow and become a better leader, you're not going to help people get the breakthrough that they need. Or you can not take it personal. You can stop assuming and you can therefore change. The reason why I like doing this podcast is because I'm actually documenting. I'm documenting, and what's happening is I'm letting you know from a first-hand basis that we all have work we have to do. No one in this world is perfect, and that's what bothers me about human beings sometimes. And that's why oftentimes I don't really have desires to be famous, because every day I sit and watch imperfect people tear imperfect people down just because they're more known. We all have something we have to work on. And I want to encourage you, if you embrace that constructive criticism or a statement from people that matter to you, that you're exuding a behavior or an attitude or an action that they don't like, you have a chance to change and become even better, and set an example and show people that you can change, and you can change for the better. I love all of y'all, and I make this podcast for you. I know it's supposed to be on this Sunday, but I'll make sure I follow up with you and give you some more, and get into the bag and give you and make up for the episodes. But I want to let you know that this is a space for you to know that you're always encouraged and loved, right? So if you have constructive criticism coming your way, embrace it. Don't take it personal. Don't assume, and change. All right. I love all of you so much. If you enjoy this, let me know. DM me if there's any topics you want me to get into. There'll be some more current events things coming. I'm sorry this episode was late, but I had to surprise my mom for Mother's Day, and she absolutely loved it. So I will talk to y'all soon. God bless you. Take care. And never forget, you know the vibes. Legacy over likes. Peace.